the procedures for this meeting and to explain how members of the public can participate and interact with board members.
Licensing virtual board meeting.
When the meeting begins momentarily, the chair will take a roll call, explain any specific rules for this particular board, and then move to public comment. The name of the board member will appear on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. For instance, this is board member Y, and this is board member E. Public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. You can indicate that you are ready to testify by clicking on the Raise Hand button being circled by the mouse on your screen now. At the appropriate time, the board will recognize you to speak and ask you to unmute your mic as shown here. Again, public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. Public attendees will not be able to unmute their microphone until recognized by the board. Public attendees who are recognized to testify will be asked to identify themselves by name and their affiliated organization if applicable. Please mute your microphone when you are finished speaking as a courtesy to others and members of the board. Public attendees will not be able to unmute themselves after the testimony is completed unless recognized again after raising their hand. At some point during the meeting, the board may choose to move into executive session. When the board moves into executive session, the board members' microphones and video feeds will be turned off, and a similar screen as you see now will be displayed. When the board returns from executive session, their microphones will be turned on as well as their video cameras.
Welcome again to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting.
At this time, the chair will call the meeting to order and take a roll call, as well as explain any additional rules that may be specific to this board.
Okay. So to view the meeting and provide live oral testimony, please use the link at the top of the agenda. You will be asked to enter your name. The board requests that you enter your full name, so you may use a pseudonym or other identifier if you wish to remain anonymous. You will also be asked for an email address. You may fill in this field with an entry in an email format, for example, name@email.com. So your microphone will automatically be muted. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may click the raise hand button found in your Zoom screen to indicate that you wish to testify about that particular agenda item. The chairperson will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chairperson, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you finish speaking. If you cannot get internet access, you may get audio-only access by calling the Zoom phone number listed at the top of the agenda. Upon dialing the number, you will be prompted to enter the meeting ID, which is also listed at the top of the agenda. After entering the meeting ID, you'll be asked to either enter your panelist number or wait to be admitted into the meeting. You will not have a panelist you will not have a panelist number, so please wait until you are admitted into the meeting. So when the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate you want to testify by entering star and then the number 9 on your phone's keypad. After entering star and then the number 9, a voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chairperson, you may unmute yourself by pressing star and then the number 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. Once you are finished speaking, then please enter star and then 6 again to mute yourself. For both internet and phone access when testifying, you'll be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 5 minutes of testimony per agenda item. So if connection to the meeting is lost for more than 30 minutes, the meeting will be continued on a specified date and time, and this information will be provided on the board's website. So I will take a roll call now. So members, when I call your name, please respond present or here. And if you're calling in virtually, joining us virtually, please state whether you're alone or if someone else is with you. Dr. Craig Nishimoto, licensed member.
Craig Nishimoto, present, and I am alone.
Dr. Lisa Wood, licensed member.
Present and alone.
Eileen Waddup, public member.
Present here in the room.
And then myself, Marcella Chalk, chair. So I will now call the meeting to order, and the time is 2:06? 2:07. 2:07, okay. Okay, so the first agenda item is approval for the March 13th meeting minutes. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on the March 13th meeting minutes?
Hi, Chair. There's no one wishing to provide oral testimony.
Thank you. So are there any corrections or amendments to the meeting minutes? Could I get a motion and a second to accept the minutes?
Craig Nishimoto moved to accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Thank you. So for agenda item 2, sorry. So could we get a vote to accept the minutes? To hear the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
So none opposing. So I guess the next agenda item number 2, adjudicatory matters. So for agenda item 2A, regarding Mr. Malcolm Hickman. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda item 2?
Hi, Chair. There's no one wishing to provide oral testimony.
This is a question for our DAG, Sherry Wong. I spoke with Dr. Hickman earlier today, and he and his wife were somewhat confused as to how to phone in, but sounded like they wanted to speak to the board. When we go into recess, can we have the technology here? I could try to call them. Is that acceptable?
Sure. That whatever helps facilitate their participation.
Okay, would it be best to call him before we go into recess or after we go into recess?
I think after, right? Or I don't know. I defer to the tech people. Is it going to be easier one way or the other?
We should just do it after.
After?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, then if you'll call to just let the public know we're moving into recess, we'll call them when we get there.
Okay. Okay, so the board will recess to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, and privileges, immunities, and liabilities in accordance to HRS Section 92-5A4. So,
Well, question, are we doing executive session or are we doing chapter 91?
Oh, chapter 91 for recess, yes?
Yes.
Sorry, I put the wrong chapter in what she's supposed to say. Chapter 91, so sorry.
Thanks for catching that.
Okay. And
And Mark, before you call them in, or are you calling them in already?
we haven't started calling them yet.
So question, does the board want to talk without them being present first?
Probably yes.
Okay.
Get a session then?
No, it's still recess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to remind everyone that we're staying in Zoom and our wonderful tech people will get us into an executive private room. Okay, we're back in executive session.
Hello?
Yes, we're back, Dr. Hickman. So hold on.
Okay.
The board deliberated in adjudicatory, and the board has voted, and you will get a letter, Dr. Hickman, letting you know this. The board voted to suspend your license until the board receives the documentation that you have completed your CE.
Okay.
So we're not canceling your license, we're suspending it. You can't practice veterinary medicine until you get us your CE. And we
Okay.
receive that, okay?
Okay.
And we'll put this in a letter to you, so you know that.
Okay.
Okay,
Very good. Thank you so much.
thank you for joining us today.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Kim. We'll let you, we'll get you the official notification after the meeting, okay?
She's muted, so I don't know if she heard.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, she's got thumbs up. Okay, that's good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie, in your letter to Dr. Hickman, please acknowledge his years of service, and especially in such a remote area as Hana. I'm sure the community has really appreciated his service there, and we do wish him the very best.
Yes, I will definitely do that. Thank you, Dr. Wood.
Thank you.
Okay. Go down to the next agenda item.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next agenda item, number 3 on applications. So in regards to agenda item number 3 applications, is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on this particular agenda item?
Hi, Chair. There's no one wishing to provide oral testimony.
So may I have a motion to move into executive session in accordance to HRS section 92-5A1 and to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities in accordance with HRS 92-5A4. Can I get a motion to move into executive session?
I so move.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Thank you. So we're moving into executive session.
Okay, looks like everyone's
Okay,
here.
good, thank you. Okay, so may I have a motion regarding the application for Rosalind Downer, please?
Dr. Wood, you're muted.
I move that we accept Rosalind Donner's application to sit for the Hawaii State exam with the stipulation that she inform the board within 30 days of the outcome of her pending investigation.
Do I have a second?
We'll follow up on that. That'll be internal. We just need
Okay,
some.
I second.
Could I get a vote, please? All in favor?
I
Thank you. No opposition, so motion move forward. May I have a motion to accept the ratifying list of issued licensees?
Yeah, this is Craig Nishimoto. I would like to move to accept item B, ratification of issued licenses for doctors listed 1 through 18.
You have a second?
A second.
Thank you. All in favor?
I
Aye.
Thank you. So no opposition, so motion move forward. So next agenda item, examinations.
Yes.
Is there anyone that would like to provide testimony on agenda item number 4?
Thank you, Chair. There's no one wishing to provide oral testimony.
Harry, would you like to provide information on that?
Yes, so this is the testing rates for March 2024. There were 11 candidates. 6 passed, 5 failed for a passing rate of 54.55%. April 2024, 6 candidates. 5 passed, 1 failed for a passing rate of 83.33%. In May 2024, 7 candidates, 4 passed, 3 failed for a passing rate of 57.14%. I'm sorry?
I think that was.
Just background noise?
Background,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Dr. Wood. Okay. Thanks, Greg. So we'll move to correspondence, agenda item number 5. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda items 5A? The email from Laney Franklin.
Thank you, Chair. There's no one wishing to provide oral testimony.
And likewise for
Okay, so Lanny Franklin is with AAVSB. She would like to know if the board would accept racetrack reports in lieu of continuing education certificates as verification of completion of licensee's continuing education. Our statute 471-9F only states that licensees shall provide the board with documentation verifying compliance with the continuing education requirement. As I understand it, racetrack allows veterinarians to enter their continuing education into a database and upload the certificate. And then at their time of renewal, they can print out a transcript that they could forward to us. So rather than, make an executive decision, I thought this is something that the board should decide. Are the racetrack transcripts acceptable verification of completion of CE?
Would it make your job easier?
Possibly. If information is non-race approved, I would still have to look it up. Because they can upload certificates from entities that are not race approved CE.
Mm,
But it wouldn't make it any harder than say
okay,
that.
okay. And do other states allow this, Carrie, do you know?
Yes, there are several states that do allow racetrack certificates or racetrack transcripts. I couldn't name them now because I didn't go look that up, but I recall seeing that information when I was looking this up.
Okay.
Did you have something to say, Dr. Nishimoto? You look very concerned.
Nope, I don't have any objections to using racetrack.
Okay. No other questions then? So we'll have, if we could get a motion then to basically accept racetrack.
So do they put it in their database, or how would this be implemented in the state?
So the licensee would upload their information to racetrack. And if they were chosen to be part of the audit, and I said, you need to send me your CE, they would order the transcript and send it to me.
Okay, so, but what I'm saying is, so how do we notify the veterinarians? Do we go on a national thing that says Hawaii is part of this?
No, racetrack would, AAVSB would note that Hawaii accepts them.
All right, so some notification would go out.
I don't know that it would go out, but it would be on their website.
Well, we would know, because when we get randomly audited,
Yeah.
all of that is kind of in the letter, basically telling the applicant what needs to be provided.
Got it? Okay.
Okay. So sorry, so we have a motion to accept the racetrack transcripts then. To basically to fulfill HRS 471-9F.
Craig Nishimoto moves that we accept racetrack reports.
Right, second,
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, so none opposed, so motion carried forward. Second, correspondence, we have an email from Sarah Crispell.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Criswell has asked the board, can a veterinary technician or veterinary assistant perform acupuncture under the supervision of a veterinarian? And are there any specific requirements needed by the technician assistant to perform the acupuncture?
it's gotta be those two.
I think this kind of goes back to like if we allow technicians to do cat neuters, that type of situation. So if we say it's under direct supervision, or is that an option
Yeah,
to qualify?
we've answered similar questions about what technicians and assistants can do. And we have referenced 470-16, hold on, I had it. We have referenced the direct supervision from the administrative rules,
Okay.
which is 102-2.
I'm comfortable with that personally.
Same.
And under the second question, what are the specific requirements? That will depend on. Is this board going to say what the specific training needs to be, or would that be up to the veterinarian to determine if their staff has the requisite training in these procedures?
I think the supervising veterinarian has to
Yeah.
determine that.
I agree.
Thank you. Any other questions or anything? I guess we'll have could we get a motion, basically, suggesting the response to be in accordance to that particular section.
Yeah, 101.2.
101.2, under the right supervision for, veterinary technicians and veterinary assistants for these procedures that they're asking about.
Yeah, so Craig Nishimoto, I move that in regards to the email from Dr. Sarah Crispo, that veterinary technicians or veterinary assistants can perform acupuncture under direct supervision of the veterinarian under section 101.2. And that specific requirements would be determined by the supervising veterinarian.
Thank you. Could I get a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Right.
No opposition, so motion move forward. Thank you so much. Okay, so next agenda item number 6, legislative measures. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda number 6?
Hi, Chair. There's no one wishing to provide oral testimony.
Okay, Carrie, would you like to lead the discussion on the?
Certainly. So, after much testimony and talk and changing of the bills, Governor Green signed HB 1527 HD1 SD2 into law on July 8th, effective upon approval. I sent you the governor's message and the Act 221, which shows what the new statutory language will be, effective July 8th. And take a little while to get that published, but henceforth, owners of pet animals will not perform any surgical procedures on said pet animal. The criminal penalties for violation of that section have gone up from not more than not to exceed $500 to not to exceed $1,000. So what's that?
Thank you, Carrie. So, next agenda item number 7, new business. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda item number 7?
Thank you, Chair. There's no one wishing to provide oral testimony.
I guess we have this email we got from courtesy permits.
Yes.
From Dale Rice.
Yes, so Dr. Rice is a Hawaii licensed veterinarian who resides in Colorado. He does come to Hawaii 3 to 4 times a year and helps out with spay-neuter clinics. And he would like to know if he can sponsor under a relief permit for other veterinarians to come in and help with those spay-neuters if he is on the mainland. I don't think the relief permit is the correct permit, perhaps the courtesy permit, because he wouldn't be being relieved because he's not here. But as a courtesy, he could bring in other veterinarians, perhaps, if that's how you read your language, to help with the spay-neuter permits. I did provide the statutory language for relief and permits in your packet. So the question is, can Dr. Rice sponsor licensed veterinarians in other states under a relief permit? And if the answer to that is no, can he sponsor them under a courtesy permit?
Dr. Nishimoto's on mute.
There you go, you're unmuted now.
Okay. So Dr. Rice is licensed in Hawaii, is that correct?
Yes, Dr. Rice
Okay.
holds a license here in Hawaii.
So if it is the courtesy, it's the 30-day with no intention to practice on their own.
Yes,
And indirect supervision of that one.
yeah, and it would be indirect supervision. Because he may or may not be here at, when those veterinarians come to do spay neuter clinics.
It would seem that relief, I mean, the courtesy permit would be appropriate for what he's describing.
Okay, so I should respond to his email that no, he can't sponsor them under relief permit because that implies that he's here and has to go somewhere. But the courtesy permit is the correct permit he could sponsor them under.
As far as what I read, Shari, do you have any comments on this?
Barry's muted.
Terry, can you refresh my memory? I know you and I talked about this. What did we say?
We discussed that the courtesy permit would be more appropriate than the relief permit.
Okay. I just wanted to be consistent.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know that we need a vote for that one. That's just figuring out which permit is correct.
Okay.
So I think we can move on.
Okay, so the next
Okay.
email.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, next email is from Erica Socks.
Yes. So Dr. Sock has emailed us. I provided a copy of the email. We have a locum oncologist who practiced here at Burke for 2 weeks under a temporary permit in the spring. And she is scheduled to come back for a week in September. As a reminder, the temporary permit is given to those individuals who have been approved for the exam to practice while they study to take the exam. She just attempted and failed the Hawaii license last night. And so she's wondering if this person could apply for a courtesy relief permit. So this person has applied for a license, has failed the exam, and so her supervisor is saying, can we just get her a courtesy or relief permit since she didn't pass and we want her to come back in September?
I'm fine with that.
Is that consistent?
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah, I don't know if that's consistent in the past with other.
So remember, for the courtesy relief permit, you have no intention of working here. You're just coming in to assist. This person has applied for licensure and now is asking if they could get a courtesy or relief permit. So she's already failed the exam. So, and when someone's failed the exam, we don't allow them to continue practicing until they pass the exam. So I think it's inconsistent to say this person failed the exam and they have to cease practicing veterinary medicine until they pass. But we're gonna let this person come in and continue practicing under a courtesy or relief permit.
But they're both
Right.
licensed in other states, though, right?
Yeah. She's a specialist. She's an oncologist.
Yeah.
And we don't have a lot of those in this state. It
Mhm.
it is a to be able to have that level of care. It is very valuable to us in this state. And I say that coming from the outer islands where we just don't have access to that kind of care.
Is she licensed in another state?
Yes,
So she is then. So I guess that's where they're trying to pull this
yeah.
recommend
Yeah,
because
yeah.
she's falling under that area.
But if you go back to the courtesy and relief permits, it clearly states that if you intend to practice here, you have to get a license.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that is her intent to move here.
Well, and it could be that she never intended to move here because we didn't have the courtesy and relief permit. So if someone wanted to come, they had to apply for license and get a temporary permit if they wanted to work. Right?
Right.
That's how people were doing it until the courtesy and relief permits came about. However, she has failed the exam and we don't allow people to continue practicing once they fail the exam.
Would she be able to practice, or not practice, but as a consultant under the licensed veterinarian, as an expert in the animal field? I know we have that clause under the sponsoring vets.
Yeah, there's you can consult. But does that mean she could, if they needed her to step in and do surgery? I don't know that she could do that as a consulting.
So let me
But
ask you
again,
another.
here's the thing. We have individuals that fail the exam. And they get sent a letter that says you have failed the exam. You may no longer practice veterinary medicine in Hawaii until you pass the exam and get a license. And we get a lot of pushback about, but that's gonna take me 90 days.
Yeah.
And we're like,
So
we know, we're sorry, but you failed
Yeah.
the exam, you can't practice. And so this individual has failed the exam, and now we're trying to find a way she can continue to practice. And that seems
No, because she's,
arbitrary.
no, I mean, I agree with, that she's a specialist. I would,
But Hawaii doesn't license specialists. We license veterinarians.
Yeah.
I know, but she's a specialist trying to come in. So if, you know, that would be my only point. I mean, if it was just to practice general
But I
veterinary
can see
medicine,
that.
then. Yeah.
But it's hard though, because I can see at the point is, as a generalist, if I come in, I would say, why is there a different standard? Because I'm not a
Yeah.
specialist.
Because she is a specialist.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so that's what the board has to decide. Does a
I
specialist,
need to go into future for others, because they
yeah,
could come back and say there is a clear,
disparity, yeah. So let me ask another question then. It's on the agenda following this. If we lowered that 90-day waiting period to 30 days or 60 days, then theoretically this oncologist could retake the exam before September.
Theoretically, yes. We
But they're
could
gonna
have that
pass.
if they pass.
If they
And they probably would, because I have some data that might help you understand why the board, I think in the past, has always said 90 days. Would you like to table this discussion and move to that discussion? And come back after we have that 90-day discussion?
Yeah, we could do that, but I think you're right, Carrie, that we, and Marcella, we should have the same standard, whether they're a specialist or not. So I appreciate you bringing those points up. One way that it could be addressed is by maybe looking at our waiting period and seeing whether that needs to be adjusted. I wouldn't want to be adjusting it just so we could get this one veterinarian pass through.
Yes, and as I said, we do have on our, I think it's the next agenda item is
It
two
is.
letters asking us to reduce the waiting time from 90 days to a lower amount. So if you want to table this discussion, have the 90-day discussion, then come back to this one, because that discussion may take care of this discussion, yeah?
That's what I'm thinking, and
Yeah, so we can move forward if you would like.
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
So we'll go ahead and move to the next agenda item then.
yeah, see if
7B.
anyone wants to comment on this before we.
So is there anyone who wants to provide testimony on this particular agenda item 7B?
Which is the 90-day waiting period.
Thank you, Chair. There's no one wishing to provide oral testimony.
Okay, so we can go right into the discussion.
Yeah.
Claire, did you want to?
So I sent everyone a spreadsheet. You should have something that looks like a spreadsheet in front of you. There has, as the board knows, you asked me, why has our pass-fail rate gone down? Right, and I said, I think it's because people are trying to take the test too soon. But I don't have data to back that up. It's just something I've looked at. This spreadsheet kind of bears that out. The last month we did 100%. You have to fly to Oahu. We only offer the test once a month. Here was in December 2022. And so I gave you this data stats from November 2022 and December 2022. Where we had 100% pass rate both months. In November, the average length of time between being told a person could take the test, here's your approval to take the test, and the day they actually took the test was 5.5 months. That's because you had to fly here, you had to be an open seat, and we only had 8 seats, so it took a while. In December, the average time was 9 months. People from when the time a person was told they could take the test and when they actually took the test. And we had 100% pass rate when they had to wait that length of time to take the test.
How many people took the test in those 2 months?
So in November, we had 6 people take the test. And in December, we had 5 people take the test, so 11 total. We started offering the PSI started administering our test in January 2023. However, we didn't have 100% PSI until April because we already had people booked for January, February, and March. So we allowed them to still fly to Hawaii, take the test here, or they could take the test at PSI. So I did not look at the data from those 3 months because it was difficult for me to go, okay, who did it here and who did it there? So the first month I have is April, which was 100% PSI. These, remember, these are the exact same questions of the in-house. The test questions hadn't changed at all. It's just the method of delivering the questions. The questions were the same. In April, we had 6 people take the test, 3 passed and 3 failed. Of the people who passed, the average wait time was 4 months. The people who failed, the average wait time was 1.5 months. So I thought, okay, well, that was just 1 month. What happened in May of 2023, which is, again, our old test questions, just a different delivery method. We had 7 people take the test, 4 passed, and 3 failed. Of the people who did, this is it kind of switches on you. The people who passed, they waited 3 months to take the test. And the people who failed waited 3.5 months. There's an anomaly because one of those people waited 209 days. The other two people were just over 2 months, but the one person was 200 days. So as you can see, we're hovering around that 3-month mark. In April, we switched from the old questions that we had been using for I don't know how long to a new batch of test questions. We switched the test. A lot of old questions were eliminated. New questions were written. Some of the old questions were rewritten so that they were clearer and had a more definitive answer. In May, which was the first month with all new test questions, with the new test, we had 7 people take the test, 4 passed, 3 failed. I'm sorry. I gave you the wrong data points for April 2023. The data points I gave you there was for this one. The April 2023, which was still our old questions, 3 pass was 4 months on average, and the 3 fail was 1.5 months. So sorry about that. For this, the new questions are the 3 months and 3.5 months. So I apologize for giving you the wrong information. And in June, we had 7 people take the test, 5 passed, and only 2 failed. Of the 5 people that passed, they waited 4.5 months. And the 2 people that failed waited 3 months, just a little over 3 months. July, we've only had 2 people take the test so far that I have data for. The person who passed took it in just over a month. And the person who failed took it in 20 days after they were informed that they were eligible. So it looks like that 3-month mark is really that benchmark where people are more likely to pass than to fail, that 90 days. The board may consider reducing it from 90 days. I know that the 90 days goes back to when we only had 1 test site and there was only 8 seats. But I would hesitate based on this data to reduce it more than 60 days because people are more likely to fail if they don't have at least 60 to 90 days to study for this exam.
Now, our state doesn't have restrictions on how many times they can take the test, right?
I've looked through our statute and there's nothing written in statute or the administrative rules that says after 5 times you're done. There's nothing that says you can't continue to take the test for us. And the 90 days is not statutory, nor is it in our administrative rules. It is a policy, a long-standing policy of the board going back to at least 2000. I don't see anything before that. There was discussion in 2000 about changing it from 90 days to a lesser period of time, and the board at that time determined to leave it at the 90 days.
Carrie, this is Sherry.
Yes.
How is our question test question bank in terms of if they take it very often, are there so few questions that they might become familiar with them?
That's a very good point, Sherry. Until the new test questions went into effect in April, yes, there were 40 questions on the test, and we had 40 questions. We didn't have a bank at all. So it was the same questions. After the subject matter experts met and developed the new questions, they tried to have at least 2 to 3 questions on each topic for a bank. So
So how many do we have total now?
I do not recall the exact total, but it is somewhere between 80 and 120 for the 40 question test, because each test question, I believe, has at least two. There are two questions, one or two questions that is the question, but the test taker will get either one or the other. But so there's at least, I think at least 78 or 80 questions, and there's probably more because I know some topics had more than two questions developed when the subject matter experts met. So now we do have a bank of questions.
Thank you.
I personally don't have an objection to going to 60 days. I don't know about 30. Dr. Lisa, you have any reservations about going to 30?
I'd probably say 60. I don't feel comfortable going to 30. But I would be okay with 60. The emails that they've sent, are compelling, right? These kids come out, they want to start practicing as soon as possible. They've got a lot of debt. Hawaii is an extremely expensive place to live, and so preventing them from practicing in the profession because of administrative rules, I think, can be burdensome. I would suggest maybe we go to 60 days. Do you know what other, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna just ask, what would be the harm if we went to 30? They would have to pay for it, right? So 60, you're saying the expectation is for more to succeed, right? Which I agree. But 30 is the assumption that there would be greater failure. But what downside? Because
It's kind of, I think from where I would come from is that you want to give time for the applicants to be serious about studying for the exam. Because from our experience, like in my profession, you get people that will memorize and know, and if they have that frequency interval shorter. And the challenge we have in our state, unlike other states, we don't have inspectors that are going to be like monitoring until there's an incident that comes back, for whatever safety, issue. Then it's kind of like goes back to basically, what happened? Did we just let them kind of like, cooked it too soon? Because that's kind of what happened in my profession. It's kind of like, that's what they uncovered was that.
So yeah, I can only relate to, real estate. We had people bringing in, hidden invisible ink in the eyeglasses and you name it. But is it all on the computer and nobody monitors? Is that how they take the test?
They're monitored. They're monitored when they take the test. If they're in a test center, there's a proctor in the test center. If they do it from home, there's the online proctoring where they scan the room and someone's watching them take the test.
Okay, yeah, because even if, let's say 30, if we have a bank for 40 questions, 80 to 120, then it should revolve. Every test change. That's one way of stopping it. We now have the additional questions, so we just need to advise PSI that, every month, change the test.
They do that already.
Okay.
They do that already. That's already done. The question is, the issue is, there's not a large bank of questions.
Yeah.
There's only like 2 questions for each topic, maybe 3. And then you also don't want to, you want folks to have enough time to study so they pass. That's the idea. You don't You don't want them to have to keep retesting and retesting and retesting, because that's demoralizing as well, right? You can understand you didn't pass it the first time, that happens, I didn't know the test, there's new questions, you fail. So you really want to pass the second time. These are smart people, they can, but you don't want to give them such a short, I only have 30 days, I can pass it easy, right? I mean, the length of time that you give a person to take a test kind of is indicative of the difficulty level of that test. Right?
Yeah.
So if we've been telling people, if you fail, there's a 90-day window before you can test again. That should tell them, hey, this is an important test. I better take, at least a month or two to study for this before I try it. But if you tell people, oh, you can take it again in 30 days, so they're going, oh, it's a piece of cake, I can pass this test.
I think 60 is reasonable.
I have mixed feelings about what you're saying.
Yeah.
The longer is to assure more success, which I agree. The shorter, by documentation, more failure. But, reading these emails, I'm just wondering, yeah. I mean, I'm just, yeah.
And administratively, can they process the testing within the 30 days? Like, I want to reapply. Will they get a date in 30 days?
As far as I know, so long as we tell PSI that someone is eligible, it's an overnight. We update them overnight. So say I'm approved for the exam today, PSI's database will be updated tomorrow. And tomorrow I can go in and say, I want to take the test. And so long as there's a test available next week, I can take the test next week. So our candidates are eligible. As soon as they're eligible, within 24 hours, they can schedule as far out as PSI will allow them to. I don't think that it's an administrative issue for how far out we have them schedule their test.
Okay.
Because it's computerized. It's not like before when they had to, they'd send in the thing and we go, oh, we're sorry, we're booked that month. You got to pick another month because we only had 8 seats.
So I just did a quick look online, and the National Board for Nurses is 45 days. There's other boards that are between 60 to 90 days. There's nothing that's 30 days. I think if we were going to adjust it at all, I would recommend 30 days at this point. I'm sorry, 60 days at this point. What do you think, Craig?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I would agree. 60.
I mean, I just asked the question,
Well, if you'd like to put that in the form of a motion, because I'll have a lot of emails to send as soon as we make this determination.
Okay. I move that the board amend its policy requiring a 90-day waiting period prior to retesting for those individuals who failed the state veterinary exam to 60 days.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Thank you. So, all in favor?
I
Aye.
So let's move back then to
Agenda items.
7A2. The
From Bertha Socks.
yeah, from the email from Erica Socks. So if the individual took the test June 23, 60 days would be July 23, August 23. she would be able to schedule the exam prior to September. So the question would be, is this individual eligible for a courtesy or a relief permit, or should we tell them to reschedule in October or early September? The real question is, are they eligible for a courtesy relief permit? Because that was the question.
That is for veterinarians who do not intend to practice in Hawaii. It is a temporary situation. Okay.
Yes,
And they can do 30 days twice in 1 year.
correct.
It's limited to 30 days.
Calendar year, 30 days twice in one calendar year.
Right.
So what if she goes for the courtesy and then after that expires, you know, when she can't get any more, decide to
So,
apply again?
so first we have to decide, she's already taken the test and failed. Is a person who's already applied for permanent licensure eligible for a courtesy or relief permit?
Yeah, and I think historically what we've done consistently is that answer has been no, right?
No, there's not been a courtesy or relief permit before. This is brand new. It just started in July. So there's no history behind it. We're making history.
So this
It's just
this
that it
would
didn't
be the
fail.
precedent then.
Would be the precedent, yes.
Terry, what do you think?
She's on mute.
Intent,
We're having difficulty
Yeah.
hearing you, Sherry.
leave permits for those who are not intending to here. And I think this individual,
Sorry, Sherry, you're cut,
uh,
it's choppy. You're going in and out.
can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I think the intent behind the courtesy and relief permits were for those who were not seeking to have a permanent Hawaii license. And this applicant has demonstrated that she does want a permanent Hawaii license. Your administrative rule says that once you fail the exam, the temporary permit ceases. So she has to stop practicing until she passes the Hawaii exam. And I think she has to continue on that pathway. I don't think the courtesy and relief permit would be appropriate for her.
Yeah, it seems to be a workaround.
Okay,
And
so-
if
But the good news is that, you know, she could pass before,
September,
yeah,
yes.
so she does benefit from the decisions of today.
From the thoughtful discernment of the board.
Very good, very good. Folks, could we get a vote real fast on this? And we're going to have to table the rest of our agenda because our tech support has to go.
We're almost done, so
Okay.
I think it'll be.
Okay, so, all right, we're almost done, so he wants us to wrap it up.
So the motion, right?
Yeah, motion,
As far as the result from the email from Erica Sox. So if I could get a motion as far as from the response for Erica Sox email regarding this particular candidate.
You want to do it, Craig?
Yeah, so I would like to make a motion that in regards to a person who has applied for a license and has taken the state veterinary exam and has failed, the board has decided to not allow that individual to apply for a courtesy or relief permit. And that instead they should reapply to take the next exam, which is available within 60 days.
May I have a second? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Motion carried forward. So the last new business is Legal Advisory Committee members. So we have the list of the nominations, the recommendations. So may I have a motion to accept the Legal Advisory Committee list?
I
And any-
move.
Oh, wait, let her finish the motion. It's an important motion.
Yeah, and any additional interim appointees that RICO deems necessary to aid in this investigation.
Now, Dr. Woods.
I move. I so move.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So motion carried forward, no opposition. So then the last agenda item is just the 2024 meeting dates. Do we have any testimony for agenda item 8 for the board meeting dates?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone looking to provide oral testimony.
Thank you. So the board will meet on the following dates for the remainder of the year, September 18th and December 13th. Okay, so no other further business, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Chair,
Yes.
excuse me, Chair. On September 18th, I will be out of the country, so I may not be